William, what are you looking for?
I was looking for a little garden time.
Well, here's a whole bunch of garden time.
And we've got a bunch of garden time for you next. Welcome to Garden Time. We are out here at Swan Island Dahlias and we are standing in front of an entire row of Garden Time dahlias.
Swan Island Dahlias was so gracious to name a dahlia after the show, and we have it in all of our yards and it's looking fantastic. And your chance to see all the dahlias is happening this weekend.
Coming up on the show today, we're going to show you where some of the seeds from your favorite flowers come from.
We'll also be showing you how to arrange dahlias.
But first, pickling cucumbers.
So William, you know what time it is?
I don't.
It's pickling time.
You know, pickling is a way to save some of the flavors of the season so you can use them later in the year.
You know, we're going to show you just how easy it is. We're going to walk you right through the steps.
Now, the first thing you want to do is gather all the materials you're going to need so you don't get hooked up in the process and have to run and look for something.
So you need pickling cucumbers, garlic, dill, alum or grape leaves, and then you'll need vinegar, canning and pickling salt, jars, lids, and rings.
Now is a good time to sterilize and disinfect the jars, lids, and rings by boiling them in water. And now is a good time also to clean and wash your pickling cucumbers.
In a large pot on the stove, you have to make a brine, so add 4 cups vinegar, 4 quarts water, and 1 cup of canning and pickling salt. This makes about 8 quarts. Now you might have to make more if you have more pickles, and then bring this to a boil.
Next, you take the sterilized jars and you start the process of packing the pickles into them. But first you want to put in a grape leaf. Now, if you don't have a grape leaf, you can use the alum. The alum is to maintain the crispness of the pickles, and the grape leaves do the same thing, it's just a more natural process. And then also you'll put in a couple sprigs of dill and a clove of garlic. Next, you take the pickles and pack them into the jar, leaving a little space right below the neck of the jar.
The next step is to ladle the boiling brine into the pickling jar. Make sure that you leave about a ½ inch of space in the jar. The next step is to take a clean, wet paper towel and wipe the brine off the top of the jar. This is so you get a good seal between the jar and the lid.
After you put the lid on, then you put the ring on and just hand tighten it. This is to keep the lid from shifting while it seals. Next, you take the jars and place them in the canner. Be sure to do this opposites of each other so you have some balance. Then you put the whole thing into boiling water. Make sure that it's boiling, then cover and do that for 15 minutes.
After 15 minutes in the hot water bath, remove the jars. Make sure that the lids are sealed. It may take a couple minutes for this to happen. You can sometimes hear a pop. After this has happened, you can remove the rings. Dry down the jars and make sure you put the date on the top of the lid.
Well, that's really about it. Now, you do want to remember to let them set for about 30 days on a shelf. What that does is allow those cucumbers to absorb all those wonderful flavors.
And you know, you can enjoy them up to 2 years after canning.
For more information on canning and for pickling, go to gardentime.tv. We'll click you over to the OSU Food Preservation website.
Garden Time is brought to you by Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, a nursery for plant people.
Do you want to be green? Do the easy stuff first. Hi, I'm Sarah from Portland Nursery. The U.S. House Energy and Commerce Committee says for every $1 spent on a shade tree, you can save $5 on cooling, blocking the penetrating heat in the summer and allowing the warm rays through in the winter. Dollar for dollar, there's no better energy and money saver than a good, deciduous shade tree. Portland Nursery's professionals can help you make the perfect selection. Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, a nursery for plant people.
At French Prairie Perennials, we take pride at being different. From rare, unique, and unusual plant material and handcrafted garden art to our visualscaping program, we can help you create an outdoor living space as unique as you are. Our gift shop has home and garden decor and gifts for all occasions. Visit us at our new location in Aurora, a quick drive from Portland off I-5. French Prairie Perennials, outdoor living elevated.
Enjoy a summer of art and color. Visit the Oregon Garden for Art in the Garden, now through September 30th, sponsored by Capital Subaru. See over a dozen pieces of outstanding and inspired art that represent both traditional and modern styles, carefully placed throughout the garden. A series of related workshops will also be featured during this event. For details on Art in the Garden and a schedule of events, go to OregonGarden.org.
Make a difference for a local family fighting cancer and enter the Fight for Your Life 5K on September 25th at French Prairie Gardens. Register at fightforyourlife5k.com.
Well, I'm standing out in the beautiful dahlia fields of Swan Island Dahlias, and I'm here with Heather. How are you, Heather?
Good, how are you?
I'm wonderful, and you know, one of the things I love about dahlias is they seem to bloom a long time. They're so beautiful, and they're one of those great flowers that we can actually bring indoors and make beautiful arrangements out of pretty easily.
Yeah.
You're going to help us learn how to do that today,
Hopefully,
aren't you?
yes.
So you have a couple of hints, though, about cut flowers. Let's go over that first before we start.
Main thing with dahlias is they are a great cut flower as long as they've been hot water treated. So once you go out to your garden, enjoy them, bring them in, get all your flowers ready, they need to go in hot water. So they need to go in 160 to 170 degree water, hotter than your tap water, but not boiling.
Yeah, and you can see what it's actually, the colors change.
Right, so they want to go in 2 to 3 inches deep in a plastic or metal container. Stay away from a glass jar as the water will cool too quickly. So it's really important, just like a mopping bucket, a coffee can, anything like that would work perfect, but make sure your stems are long enough that the buds and the flowers will be out of the steam and not trapped down inside the bucket.
Well, and I've noticed that you even did it with the other flowers that you're using. So you don't just do it with dahlias, you do it with all of them.
I do it with a lot of flowers that we have trouble with wilting prematurely. So we found it'll work on a lot of flowers. Yeah.
Now, once that's done, you know, I don't know if it's just me, but I think a lot of people would agree with me. There's an intimidation factor of making something this beautiful as these arrangements in these glass jars are. So give us some tips and put one together for us.
So a couple tips are, once you've hot water treated, so they're gonna sit a minimum of an hour or until the water cools, then they're ready to go. If you're gonna work with floral foam, which we'll do here in a minute, you're gonna work with flowers first. But if you're gonna do jars, which seem like one of the big hits this year, especially for weddings and things, big thing to do first is put in your filler. You're gonna have to create a base of some type to hold those stems.
Oh, right.
So if you just try and put flowers in, they're all gonna fall to the outside and never be what you want them to be. So like for instance, the hydrangeas can go in here. Good thing to remember is to pull off those leaves, because the leaves or anything down in the water besides the stems are gonna grow the bacteria the quickest. So it's really important to go ahead and clean those guys off and get these guys tucked in. Now once I've created a base, once I go to stick my flowers in there, and we believe if you trim off buds, use them later in your arrangement, but if you trim them off, this flower will last longest if it's only feeding one flower.
Okay, that makes sense too.
Right when I go ahead and put this guy in, it's gonna stand right where I want it to. So you could do that with all different kinds of greenery, flowers, just some type of base has to be created. So in this guy, I put the greenery in first, then the flowers, and it can totally depend on how big you want it to be, on how many flowers you need. Most common question is, how many go in a mason jar? Well, it could be 5, it could be a dozen. It just depends on the look you want. Some people do small little mounds, kind of like what I've done here with the hydrangeas. So you kind of have a lot of options.
And Heather, you're a big believer in that it's not so much that there is a correct way, it's what you like, and because it's going to set in your house.
It's in the eye of the beholder. People are sometimes afraid to mix colors and things, and I think it's whatever you love.
I agree with you.
Flowers are flowers, so they can all go together.
So now this is a very simple thing to do. How about something that it might seem a bit more intimidating, which is this lovely green foam?
Yes, floral foam is fun to work with. It just has a few important things to remember. One is that you need to make sure you have the right type of floral foam. There's all different brands and names and styles on the market. You need one that's meant for summertime flowers.
Really?
So in the Oasis brand, you need deluxe or standard. There's a springtime, which is meant for tulips, daffodils. It's very soft and it would not hold your dahlia stems.
All right.
There's a Sahara that's a dried foam that'll never soak water. So your flowers would obviously die instantly. So it's really important that you start with the right foam.
I did not know that.
Otherwise, you're in trouble right off the bat before you've even done your arrangement. Second thing, when I worked with the vase filler flowers went in first.
Certainly.
With floral foam, it's going to be the opposite. Dahlias in first, or whatever your flowers might be for the summertime. Glads, liatris, because they have so much foliage on them, it will require a lot less filler, and you won't be fighting the stems. If I start with greenery and I cover this, which is what most florist shops, a trainee would be doing, is covering this with greens first. If I start that way, then I have a good chance of blocking one of these stems, and the hollow stem would never get any water. So we really recommend that you wait and put your greens in at the end. And again, make sure that you've cleaned your stem off, because any leaves that you put in that is going to create bacteria.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a break while you work on this, and we're going to come back and talk to you about it, okay?
Sounds great.
All right, Heather, I have to say that probably about 10 minutes have passed, and you put together in a very short amount of time this beautiful, beautiful arrangement. Tell me, what were some of the steps that you went through?
Well, I make sure in the floral foam that you start with your tallest points, your widest points. So I set my boundaries, and then I'm going to work in from there. Most people, when they start floral arranging, want to start with the perfect center bloom right facing.
Yeah.
And then it's very hard to go outwards. So what I say, it's like learning to color. You outline first, and then fill in from there.
Well, and what I love about this is you've used two different types of dahlias, that foliage, and then salal. There's only really two different types of plants in there, and it is beautiful.
Thank you. I just went back and added those buds, the extra dahlia greens, back in as my filler, so it made it nice to not have to have a lot of other things
put in there with it. Yeah, it's a lovely thing. Now, while you finish up this one, if people want to come out and see the fields, this is a perfect time of year to do that, isn't it?
Beautiful time of year. Fields are open 7 days a week, daylight to dark, or we'd like to say about 6 to 7 o'clock at night, but somewhere in that range.
And if they're interested in the arrangements, what's happening soon that we can come and visit you on that?
Last weekend in August and Labor Day weekend, we do our big annual festival. So there will be over 400 floral arrangements indoors to see. Fields will be in prime. There's food vendors, there'll be music, lots of fun things going on. There will also be these classes to learn a little bit more on the floral arranging and culture of dahlias.
Well, if you love dahlias, and if you would like to learn how to do some of these for your own home, you can go to gardentime.tv. We'll click you over to their website, come out and enjoy the beautiful party out here at Swan Island Dahlias. Thank you so much, Heather.
Thank you.
This time of year, you may notice wasps or yellow jackets hanging out in the garden. We're at our producer's house, and we noticed a nest that's right in this sword fern right here.
And you know, it's not that these things aren't beneficial to the garden. They can be. However, when they're right by a path like this, every time you brush by the ferns, you're going to disturb them. And if you are allergic to any kind of sting, it can really be rather dangerous.
So we're going to take a ride over to a local garden center and find out just what they have that you can take care of this pest.
I'll tell you, this is some of the great stuff that you can really find at almost any independent garden center, but this is stuff we've gathered together to share with you about how you can control wasps and yellow jackets in your own gardens.
Well, the first thing we found were these traps or lures from rescue. And these you kind of hang around your picnic area, by your patio. And there's actually a lure that is in these packages that you put in, and it attracts the wasps or the hornets and keeps them away from you. And they're made out of pheromones that actually bring them away from the people, and so they're not going to bother you. And the good thing about these pheromones is that they attract only the wasp or the hornets. They don't attract honeybees, which we really want to protect. And you know, if you have these from last year, you can buy these as extras, so you don't have to buy the containers every year. We also found a more decorative kind of trap. This is kind of pretty. It's almost ornamental for your patio. And they do have the same kind of lures, or you can even use a piece of meat. You know, if you have that old salami in the fridge, you could put that in, and they really are attracted to it.
You know, Judy, there's also some other options, which if you look at these spray cans, there's a couple different types of sprays that work very well. Now, a lot of times we want to stay away from the nest because a lot of us are allergic to them. So ones like this one right here actually have a pretty far reach to them. Just read the instructions on the back and follow that label, but you can just shoot it up there. If it's a high nest or if it's even a low one, you can stand back and really get some safety. This one is a foam, which is really nice because you can see where it's going specifically, and the directions again are on the back, but you just want to hit the nest and really fill it in. Even if they start coming out, you just keep covering it, and then you know it's best to walk away. Now, with almost all of these sprays, the best time to apply is in the evening, and the logic there is that everything's coming home to nest for the night, so that makes good sense. And we also wanted to discuss one last thing, and that is bounce dryer sheets. Now, a lot of people really believe in these, and they are used as a deterrent. So, you know, we don't really advocate killing off wasps and hornets and stuff, but if they're in the area where you're entertaining, they can be rather dangerous to people that are allergic to them and just painful. So we want you to enjoy your gardens. Go to any of the garden centers and look for this kind of stuff to find out which product is going to work the best for you in your garden.
Garden Time is brought to you by Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
I've been a Capital Subaru customer for 15 years, and one of the main reasons is because they treat me well and I want to shop local. The service department is excellent, and I always feel like I'm taken care of here. In fact, they call me now even after I've driven off the lot to remind me to come in and get my car washed. That's service. One of the reasons why I like coming to Capital Subaru, actually, they have the dog area, and I can just walk my dog around the whole area and we can enjoy the outside. I got it my way on the Parkway.
Judy,
Yep.
Do you remember when I asked you if you liked me? I mean, if you really liked me?
Yeah, I liked you on Facebook.
Yeah, well, I need you to do that again.
Well, we really need everyone to like the new Facebook page for Garden Time. So you just go to gardentime.tv and click on the Facebook icon and like us again for our brand new page.
The dahlias are blooming and the fields are open. Stop by Swan Island Dahlias in Canby and stroll the 40 acres of blooms. And don't forget the Dahlia Festival the last weekend in August and Labor Day weekend. During the festival, you can see over 400 cut flower displays, enjoy specialty foods, and see flower arranging demonstrations. While you visit, you can also order your favorites for next spring. Visit the Swan Island Dahlia Farm in Canby, just 30 minutes south of Portland.
If you've ever been around Silverton and have seen fields of flowers growing, that is probably the fields for Silver Falls Seed Company. And I'm with Angela Rose. Angela, those are just gorgeous. You guys do a beautiful job.
Thank you. Yeah, we offer several seed blends. We offer our native seed mixes for people interested in planting seeds to Oregon or the Northwest. We offer a wetlands mix, a prairie mix, and several others that are available on our website. We also offer your everyday wildflowers mixes. We have over 6 different kinds of mixes. Our seeds are harvested here in our fields, and they come in here to our warehouse, and they come in dirty like this with lots of pieces of stems and different things in them, and we try to clean everything out and just have the seeds. This seed here is Linaria. It's one of the smallest seeds that we clean. It's just like dust.
Oh my gosh, and this is a huge container, but I know behind us we see just stacks and stacks of seeds, so really you guys are busy all season long.
Yeah, the seed comes in this time of year. Around 4th of July is when a lot of the flowers are blooming. The flower seed goes to different countries. It goes to different highway transportations here in the United States. North Carolina, Tennessee are a few that use the flowers for beautification along the freeways.
So can you mention some of the varieties, because I know people are going to be so interested to get them for their garden too.
We have over 100 different kinds of flowers and natives. Just visit our website. There's a whole list there and pictures of our fields and our close-ups of our flowers. And if you're interested in seeing what we currently have in bloom, I try to update our Facebook page during the blooming season so people can see what is going on. So,
Angela, what kind of cleaning goes on? I mean, there looks like this is a really involved process. We're just seeing this right here.
Well, it depends on the kind of seed. Some seeds require smaller size hold screens. They get screened through the machines, and Other seeds are larger. There's some seeds that we have that are shaped like snails. One flower that we have, African daisy, actually has 2 different kinds of seed that we harvest off of it. One is a flake and one is a stick. And so we have to separate those out, and then the flowers usually get put in the bins, and depending on how people want them bagged, we bag them up in different size bags. But the grass seed in general gets bagged in 50-pound bags.
Angela, you just don't grow flower seeds. There's other seeds to the company too.
Yes, we grow the flower seeds, grass seeds, the natives, wheat, oats, and things like that that are native to the Northwest or grow in the Northwest.
And really, it's not just one generation. Your kids are going to be which generation in the business?
6th generation.
Wow, so lots of experience really here in this area here in Silverton.
Yes, our farm is over 100 years old.
Wow, so much history here and really great products. And if you have any other questions, you can go to Garden Time. We'll switch you over to their website, and you can see the pictures that Angela takes. They're really gorgeous. And get some seed for your garden. Thanks so much. It's really interesting.
Welcome to Drake's, not your ordinary garden center. Grab a cup of coffee at Antonio's and wander the nursery for the perfect plant. Check out the landscape design showrooms for ideas, then meet with a designer. Come pick out a bouquet of flowers for dinner or for that someone special. Find something distinctive for your home or your garden. Imagine the possibilities and let Drake's turn them into realities. Drake's 7Ds on Southwest Shoals Ferry Road in Portland.
Standard TV and Appliance Labor Day sale going on now.
Huge price cuts on top brand appliances, mattresses, and HDTVs. Save big on a Samsung front-load washer with steam, $549. Huge savings on a Whirlpool stainless steel French door refrigerator, only $11.98. Or get a stainless steel Frigidaire dishwasher, only $2.99. Plus, get a Beauty Rest Queen mattress for just $4.99.
Hurry! Labor Day savings won't last long. Standard TV and Appliance.
The dahlias are blooming and the fields are open. Stop by Swan Island Dahlias in Canby and stroll the 40 acres of blooms. And don't forget the Dahlia Festival the last weekend in August and Labor Day weekend. During the festival, you can see over 400 cut flower displays, enjoy specialty foods, and see flower arranging demonstrations. While you visit, you can also order your favorites for next spring. Visit the Swan Island Dahlia Farm in Canby, just 30 minutes south of Portland.
Welcome to Blooming Junction, where it's easy to connect with nature. At Blooming Junction, you'll find beautiful, healthy plants, good, fresh food, and a place to regain peace and calm in your life. We have an unsurpassed collection of unique and distinctive plants and the expertise to help any gardener be successful. And we feature Blooming Advantage plants. Come check out Blooming Junction for an inspiring experience in the garden or in the kitchen. Blooming Junction, offering quality plants for beautiful gardens.
So I'm here with Bob Denman from Red Pick Tools, and we're going to be talking about some of the uniquely odd tools that you have around here and really telling us what they're for.
Okay, we'll start with this one. This is a tool. It's a hoe, and it's articulated. So you can work back, way back underneath a shrub or something like that. When I first got this hoe, I used it in between pickets on a picket fence to weed underneath. It does a really good job, and it'll cut in every direction. And because you have the little V-shaped grooves in between the two discs, it will do pretty big weeds.
Yeah.
You can take some big weeds out, and it's elegantly designed. If you'll notice right here, there's a kind of a cupped curve to the blade so that it will go under the ground on both the forward and the back stroke. It'll dip down. So it's a beautiful tool. It's no longer made in this form, but it has reoccurred any number of times. Some people in Texas about 1990 started making it, and they made it for a while. There's one on the market right now. They're both rigid, and they lack this articulated feature. It's generally referred to as a Mickey Mouse hoe for the obvious reason. This looks pretty much like a pair of ears from Disneyland. And it was invented by a man in San Marino, California, just outside of Pasadena. And I'm sure I know why, because He's of the same age that I am, and he was either a member of the Mickey Mouse Club as a child, or he was really taken with Annette Funicello.
And either one is okay.
Yeah.
Because it got a great garden tool out of it, huh?
Yes, he did.
Now this one, I want to say that I know exactly what this is, but Bob, I don't know.
Well, this tool is, have you heard of X-streme sports?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I don't participate in them, but I've heard of them.
Yeah, well, yeah, for instance, one of my favorite extreme sports is the one that was invented in Oregon, and it's downhill, off-road unicycling, which is a recipe for a rash and a broken face. But this is proof, this tool is actual proof. Dates back to about 1890, and it's actual proof that gardeners invented the earliest extreme sport.
And why?
We could call that X-edging.
X-edging, okay,
Yep.
yeah, that's what
X-edging.
we'll call
This is an edger, and this would go in right here. If you had lawn here and a concrete walk here, this goes down in the groove between the tool. You put your foot here, and that little tab prevents you from slicing your foot open on that razor sharp blade. And then you ratchet forward like this.
Oh, come on. No
like
way.
that. And this combines edging with skateboarding.
And it also, if you had it doesn't have to be a big lawn that you're edging before.
No.
That's very tiring.
Yes, it is. But you might get at least 20 minutes of work out of a teenager with this.
If it were downhill, not uphill. That would be all wrong.
Not for long, because it doesn't go fast enough.
And not a lot of ability to curve, right? That's all just one
straight line. Yeah.
Well, you know, I find that every time that I'm out here with Bob that there's always something that I go, wow, how did that ever start? And he often finds the ability to tell us how it starts. So, Bob, thank you so much for spending time again.
You're quite welcome.
And telling us about the amazing tools out here
Thanks
at
for
Red Pig
visiting.
Tools.
Thank you for watching today, and remember, this is the last weekend for the festival at Swan Island Dahlias.
And while you are out here, we encourage you to find a whole row of garden time dahlias and perhaps even place an order so you can plant it in your own garden.
William and I want to wish everyone a happy Labor Day, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week here on Garden Time.
Don't you just love all the things inside Garden Time magazine? So much great information about gardening.
I do, William. There's new plants, adventures, recipes, local gardeners, home tips.
And it's free, right in your email. But there's two things you left out.
What's that?
You and me. We write some of the articles and get to share our gardening knowledge.
Of course, I should have. William, where did you go?
Right here, Judy. You'll find both of us every month in Garden Time magazine.
Sign up for your free subscription on the Garden Time website.
The proceeding was a paid program of the Guston Creative Group and its sponsors.